people who are in pain, misery, how they amp up the pain, misery, and suffer even more. And they do it inadvertently, innocently. They don't know they're doing it. And they are all the time wondering, why is it pain is growing in my life? Why am I becoming more miserable? Now, if you're already suffering, or if you know someone who's already suffering, the first thing is the way they define themselves. For example, if they say, I am Mr. John, and I'm a doctor, and I'm a famous doctor, and I'm a skilled doctor, I'm a great doctor. Now, if this is Mr. John defines himself, he's going to suffer, and he's going to be in a lot of pain. So, if this person who's already suffering continues to define his identity or his existence or his state of being in terms of a borrowed identity, in terms of an identity that's false, that's given, his suffering is going to increase. And the more attached he is or she is to this false identity, the more he or she is going to suffer. So that's number one. How you define I am. If you define it the wrong way and you're already suffering, and if you're attached to this wrong definition of I am, your suffering is going to increase. I want. Now, well, if you're already suffering and if someone is in suffering, definitely this person wants something. And most probably what this person wants is something that can end the suffering. Now, if this object of desire is anything except spiritual enlightenment or desire for freedom from all suffering, this person is going to suffer even more. And if he's looking for this object outside in the world, he is going to suffer even more. So the second thing to look for is, I want. Now, if you want a limo to end your suffering, trust me, the limo will add pretty long and pretty hard suffering to your life. It's going to add a lot more suffering to your life. So, how you fill the blank, I want, is something you need to really watch for. The only way you should fill this blank if you're already suffering is, I want spiritual enlightenment. I want to get out of all suffering for the rest of my existence. How you treat others, how you relate to others, living, non-living, living, non-living entities in the cosmos. If you believe that you're suffering because of others, anything else except you, you're going to have more suffering in your life. Your suffering will increase. If you shift the blame of your suffering to anything or anyone except yourself. So it's extremely important how you relate to others. If you relate to others, and others include everything else in the cosmos, in the wrong way, your suffering is going to increase. What you don't want when you're suffering. Now, when people are suffering and you offer them advice and they say, I don't want your advice, I don't want this. If you tell them, you need to practice some meditation, and they, I don't need meditation, I don't need that, I don't need this. Now, just like what you want is important, equally important is what you don't want when you're suffering. Because if you're in the middle of suffering and you don't want spiritual enlightenment, if you don't want meditation, if you don't want the insights that can lead you out of suffering, you're going to stay in suffering and you're going to suffer more and more and more and more. So the four things you need to really consider if you're already suffering, or if you find someone who's already suffering, or how this person defines himself or herself. what this person wants, how this person relates to others, everything else in the cosmos, and number 4, what this person is not willing to have in life, what this person doesn't want.